Jubilee, the place where scientists and flat earthers get together to find a middle ground, where one doctor is surrounded by 20 anti-vaxxers in the quest for the real truth.
Is there anything I could say today that would change your mind?
I'm just asking your opinion.
I'm asking you a question.
Probably not, because I actually read and study.
Or where we see 20 LGBTQ activists try and convince Michael Knowles that gay people actually do have rights.
My next claim is that transgenderism should be eradicated from public life entirely. My first claim is that there is no such thing as same-sex marriage.
As you can see, Jubilee is a company of unquestionable integrity and irrefutable credibility, offering for nearly a decade a safe space for opposing sides to come together and settle their ideological grievances, giving people the platform to express their views and engage in productive back and forths as each interlocutor holds each other accountable under the light of critical scrutiny.
I am Native American. Whites are Native Americans. What are you talking about?
You're not.
What are you talking about? Whites are...
Okay, maybe not quite. Jubilee, if it's not already apparent to everybody, has been a disaster class in how to not conduct debates or have discussions, and has been called into question in recent years about the goals of its debates in the first place. Jubilee isn't a company concerned with giving publicity to marginalized groups under the virtue of leveling the playing field or coming to a supposed middle ground. Problematically, it's usually been the opposite, not being the voice for the voiceless, but instead platforming popcorn intellectuals, conspiracy theorists, men's rights activists, or more accurately, red pillars, basically just people who take offense from the mere existence of women, proud homophobes, racists, and now fascists. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the voice of the voiceless, the paragons of equality. The people who single-handedly with each video set back discourse 100 years, playing on popular stereotypes in order to stir up controversy and drive up engagement and views, profiting off of the divisions it amplifies and perpetuates. A format that, in theory, is supposed to promote the discussion of important but contentious issues has quickly degenerated into a pure and unrefined spectacle, harnessing the worst parts of debate culture and extremist ideologies for punchy soundbites and increased engagement, because to Jubilee, all publicity is good publicity. So in the most recent 20 verse 1 episode, when someone goes on camera, calls themselves a fascist, says we need to bow down to one supreme leader as the rest of the room eerily claps and cheers, or when another guy says to Medhi Hasan that he needs to go back to his country, or another guy saying that the mainstream conservatives are liberal to him, boasting about just how far right he actually is, Jubilee don't care. In fact, they really should, because they know more controversy means more engagement, which means more money. It is laughable that the people who run Jubilee's YouTube channel think they are practicing, and I quote, radical empathy.
For those of you who don't know Jubilee, do you guys mind talking about your content?
Sure. So Jubilee Media, we are a YouTube channel who primarily we create content that is human-centric, that bridges people together, that challenges conventional thinking, and inspires love. We're pretty well known now for series like Middle Ground, T for Two, Both Sides, and really it's doubling down on this idea of radical empathy.
Or fostering genuine understanding between people, unless of course they mean neo-Nazis, racists, homophobes, and fascists. It's obviously because they're lying to you. They don't care about the political and economic state of the world right now.
Oh my God, can we talk about the political and economic state of the world right now?
Shout out to Jaden Smith. They don't have any principles. That's why they're so indifferent to providing a platform for harmful rhetoric to make the rounds online, because by doing so they normalize extremist views and open the floodgates for even louder, more extreme talking points to air on their channel. For the bigoted extremists, they give license to them to say whatever the hell they want, and hell, they even get rewarded for it. Because when some self-proclaimed fascist says some egregious thing, they turn it into a short, a TikTok, and then it goes viral, which is good for Jubilee, and according to Jubilee, good for society. According to the Jubilee CEO Jason Lee, he explains platforming controversial views as a way of, and I quote, giving their audiences the ability to hear nuanced perspectives.
I am an immigrant. I'm speaking from personal experience.
Get the hell out.
I don't even like...
It's funny because their content is formatted to polarize people as much as possible. You don't see people coming together after a Jubilee debate other than to debate the sanity of the people Jubilee chooses to spotlight. Like I said, Jubilee has been receiving backlash for a while now, but with this last video, and I don't ever watch Jubilee, it seemed to reach a level of intolerance that most people wouldn't stand for. The video, as I'm recording, has over 8 million views, with the guy in the debate even losing his job as a result of him calling himself a fascist, but then also afterwards doing a fundraiser and raising up to $30,000. So it actually just shows you how much or how useful Jubilee can be for harnessing and building a following. Now, how many of those viewers do you think were far right before watching the video? Well, it's difficult to say, but we can probably say a decent chunk given how much fundraising support that other guy got. Then if I were to ask the question, how many people were radicalized to the far right after that video? Well, that's also quite difficult to say. But let's just say that 0.1% of the viewers on that video were radicalized to the far right, given how many people that video reached. How many people do you think that would be? 100? 500? 1,000? Well, according to my calculations, that would be 8,000 people. 8,000 people. Can you imagine a protest of 8,000 neo-Nazis? What that would look like? That's an insane amount of people. Now, 8,000 views might not seem like a lot, but when you've possibly radicalized 8,000 people, you've done something catastrophic, with genuine real-world consequences. And that's the thing with a lot of these Jubilee debates. Even if their conversion rates are low in terms of the amount of people they end up radicalizing, it still ends up totaling in the thousands just given how many people they eventually reach. Platforming someone very liberal is problematic, so we need to balance that by platforming ethno-nationalist fascists. But this is a false equivalency. It's not always the case that two extremes of a political spectrum are equally radical or oppressive. Leftist ideals, for instance, even in their most radical manifestations, things like anarcho-communism, are at the very least rooted in emancipatory ideals, which don't always work, but differ from the far right in the fact that they don't seek to dominate or even undermine political progress. So the idea that because some conservatives moan about platforming someone who's very liberal, by that they just mean socialism or communism, to people who make MAGA supporters appear neutral and centrists, people who openly say we need autocratic and fascist rule and the mass deportation of all immigrants, is not the same thing. It's building a tolerance for intolerable views, normalizing extremist and fringe views and giving them an avenue into which they can become mainstream and candidly discussed until being a neo-Nazi is just a lukewarm form of extremism. If we go back to the anti-vax debate, for instance, what did Jubilee achieve there other than bringing conspiratorial and fringe views to light? Or take the Michael Knowles debate. It's as if Jubilee got out and found the most minimally informed activists to reinforce the biases of their audience who are typically sympathetic to these kinds of views already, who think everyone from the left or LGBTQ community are just deranged lunatics, and so then people out of spite side with Michael Knowles in spite of the actual substance of his claims. By juxtaposing a calm and seemingly reasonable Michael Knowles with seemingly reactionary and emotional activists, it sanitizes his views and portrays him in a superior light to that of his dogmatic compatriots, all the while fostering more bigotry. This is due to the fact that Jubilee debates will often give the illusion of open dialogue while curating the structures of the debates in such a way that it reinforces certain ideological ends. It's a tactic that shifts the political center, portraying right-wing talking points as unbiased or moderate views, pushing the discourse back to questions of white nationalism, the utility of fascism. So what then? Is Jubilee just going to keep rage baiting for views? Well, probably. There isn't really anything profound to say about that. Because while we can read a lot into the political consequences of some of the videos that they post, we might also just be giving too much credit to these creators when we think this is some malicious ploy they have carefully devised. And this, to them at the moment, is the best way to do it. And they've built a multi-million-dollar enterprise out of it by exploiting societal divisions for clicks and engagement across the political spectrum, not just catering to one audience, but to multiple audiences. And hey, people just eat it up. But if Jubilee doesn't stop and let's say they push out a few more videos like this, would YouTube do anything about it? Again, probably not. Because there's a lot of similar content online to what Jubilee has been posting, but they just don't get anywhere near the attention. So unless Jubilee comes out and they overtly promote fascism, I don't think YouTube is really going to do anything about it. But so long as the controversy just keeps piling up, Jubilee can claim plausible deniability, dismissing all critics under the guise of open dialogue. Remember guys, they're not promoting this stuff. They are simply giving a platform for self-proclaimed fascists to express their views, providing equal opportunities to everyone to be able to express themselves. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.